Okay, I thought I'd give you all a bit of a look at how development for Pure Village Cricket is getting on. So here we are. It's still very basic. A lot of the UI is definitely not final, but hopefully you get the idea of how it's going to look eventually. So this is the main home screen that you come to. I'm about halfway through a season at the moment with my team, Ballywinkle CC. So we've got our next match happening here. We can look at our squad, we can look at the fixtures, we can look at the league table. So just a quick overview of what the game actually is. So it's a cricket simulation slash story generator um, based on village cricket and low level club cricket. Um, so it's not looking to simulate, the highest quality of cricket. It's not an international cricket simulation or anything like that. Um, it's a one-day cricket league on a Saturday, 40 overs an innings. Um, yeah, and the idea is that it inspires that feeling of village cricket and playing for a village team. Um, and the various characters that you've got within those teams, and the emphasis is not just on you know winning and you know being the absolute best and min maxing every single little thing. The emphasis is really on the story that you're telling with this club that you create or that you take over in this league, and yeah, you just kind of go from there and experience the game. So um, yeah, so if I look at the squad for a second, one thing I will say, so that when you start a new game, so I'm obviously into a game already here, but when you start a new game, um, the game generates 20 seasons of history across 8 tiers for the whole league. So within that, you'll have clubs getting better, getting promoted. You'll have clubs getting relegated. You'll have all the players generating their own history and stats throughout that period of time. Certain clubs will fold and go under and be replaced by new clubs. It's possible for two clubs to merge at some point, during that history or during the game as you play it. So, when you're starting, you're effectively starting in season 21 of this league that you've created. And you've got that 20 seasons of history already kind of baked in there. So if I show you the Ballywinkle squad here, so here's our squad page. As you can see, I've kind of got this notebook aesthetic going on. Um, Pure Village Cricket isn't set in a particular year, so it's not like the 1998 season or the 2025 season or whatever. Kind of runs on its own time. So we're in season 21 of this league, but we don't know what year that is. But I've kind of gone for a vintage kind of vibe. So there's a lot of notebooks, there's a lot of handwritten stuff or emulating handwritten stuff. So this is kind of the aesthetic that I'm going for generally. So here on the left we've got our player list. Um, so yeah, we can see all the different players' names and stuff like that, and this is their kind of career batting stats right now. You can see down here we've got career, so if I click that down here, it switches to season batting stats, and then I can sort by who scored the most runs this season. So that's Elliot Hurst. If I flip that back to career, I can see it keeps that same sorting, but then if I sort it again, I can see that actually Gloria Green um, is our longest serving player by quite some margin and has scored over 7,000 runs for the club at an average of 23.7. So there's no numerical statistics and attributes in this game. So you have to figure it out based on how well people have played in the past, and you have to figure it out based on, you know, I'll show you a match in a minute, like based on what's happening in the commentary, and things like that. As time goes on, it's going to develop a little bit more. Different players are going to have, different individual traits and things like that. Things that they're expert at, things that they maybe have got a slight weakness, or things that sort of thing. So the players, hopefully, as time goes on, start to feel like real individuals and real characters. And because it's all fictional, we get the chance to be a bit creative with the sort of traits that we made. But even just looking at the stats, you can start to generate some interesting stories for yourself. So I mean, Gloria, 369 matches, 359 innings, 7,000 runs, 25 50s, never scored 100, highest score of 97. So even just the first player on this list, like if you've got Gloria in the side and she gets that 100, you've already got your storyline there. So yeah, little things like that. If I click down here, we've now got bowling stats. So if I look at most wickets, so Dev has again played a lot more matches than any other bowler. Nearly 1,500 overs, 426 wickets, an average of 20.3, economy rate of 6.10, and a best of 7 for 38. And then down to some of our other sort of players like Jennifer Clayton, only started playing this season, isn't having a great time so far. Paul Thornton's just played one match for us the other week. No wickets, an economy rate of 438. So again, you can start to get an idea of who's good, who's not, based on the averages. And if I click this again, I've just recently put this sort of personal view in. I'm going to change all this UI so it's a bit more fluid. But so you got your role here: all-rounder or batter or bowler. Age, style is a new thing that I've put in. So balanced, attacking, and defensive. Just kind of dictates how someone naturally plays, whether that's bowling or batting. And then I've got the pronouns column. So this is a mixed league. So there's women, men, anyone who identifies as any other gender. I mean, we've only got 3 different sets of pronouns. So we've got he, him, she, her, and they, them at the moment. So yeah, you can see all this stuff as well. And then we're back to the stats. I've got a really basic player profile page on the go. So if I just click that, and eventually I want this to be like, you've got all this stuff written in a separate notebook, and you kind of your character kind of picks it up, and then the screen sort of dims behind it slightly because you've picked up the notebook with the the more detailed player data. So we'll have like a profile image here, we'll have some more information here. So we've got the fact that Dev is an all-rounder, balanced mentality, all that kind of stuff. Eventually on this screen, we'll be able to see Dev's like specific like traits and things like that. So you get a little bit more information. And this slip of paper here is just the starting 11, so we can kind of drag players around on here. We can drag the captain's armband to somebody else. I've decided that Gloria is an opening batter rather. So she's up there. And then, like if I look at season batting, we'll see who's doing well this season. So Elliot Hurst is our number 3, 350s this season. High score of 72, averaging 33, which is pretty good. Beatrice is the other opener, averaging 29. Gloria's averaging 24, which isn't too far away from her career average. It's actually slightly better than her career average. So yeah. Um, Edith White. So Edith is interesting because she's an attacking batter, so she tends to smash it around a little bit, and then you know invariably gets out before getting to a high score. Although she managed 48 not out, which isn't too bad. Um, Ruth is our wicket keeper, and then Toby is another attacking batter, and then we've just got some, we're kind of into the bowlers there. Quick look at the bowling stats for the season. So Lauren Barker, who's actually an all-rounder, she's our top wicket taker, followed by Alicia Marshall. I don't know what. Yeah, so Lauren's attacking, so that means she's an attacking bowler as well as an attacking batsman, and Alicia is defensive. So I've kind of got that attacking defensive, one-two punch for the opening bowlers. So um, Lauren opens the bowling, and Alicia is the second bowler with the new ball. And then we've got Sonia, who is just balanced mentality. Leonard, who's an all-rounder, and Fraser, who's I think he's quite young. Oh no, he's 31, but he's not played many games for us. So yeah, all that stuff really. Um, one major thing I don't have yet is different bowling types, but that will be coming. So other things we can look at. You can see the fixture lists coming up. So we're doing quite well away from home. We're not doing very well at home. In fact, we've not actually won a game at home this season. And we've got 4 away games on the trot next, so that'll be fun. And then we can look at the league table. So the whole league, all 8 tiers of it, is kind of simulated, as you go through the season. We're not doing particularly well this season. And then we can see, up through the divisions, right up to Division 1. So, they've only played 2 games, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I'll need to look into that because obviously we've played 10 games, so that's obviously not generating properly. But anyway, it'll work eventually. But yeah, there we are, and we've got kind of proper cricket scoring, slightly dumbed down cricket scoring, but you've got your it's 12 points for a win, and then you get up to a maximum of 4 batting points depending on how quickly you score, and then up to 4 bowling points, like if you bowled the other team all out and stuff. But yeah, if I go on to play the next match, so this is just the kind of pre-match screen. So we're playing at Edlington. We've won the toss and we've elected to bat. Eventually, I'll put it in where we can actually choose what we're going to do. But I've not got pitch types and things in the game yet. And this screen's quite useful because you can see all of your players and who's playing well and whatnot. But you can also see all of their players and how their players are playing. So like you've got Daz here. He's taken 20 wickets at an average of 12.3 this season. Hartley has taken 23 at 18. And like some of these batters, like Longbottom's averaging over 50, Parker's averaging 50. Like they're clearly a better team than we are, so we might have a bit of a tough time. And if you want to, you can look at their career stats as well. So Longbottom's career average is 30. So he's like, massively outplaying that right now. But yeah, so if we go through to play match, and this is the match screen. There's been a couple of iterations of this match screen. This is the sort of cleaner version. It's not how I want it to be, but yeah, we are where we are. So over here we've got the kind of main total. You've got so we're batting, so you've got the batting lineup here. Bowling figures will appear down here. This is the kind of over by over. commentary appears here, and then this is our little match control. So we can do, ball by ball, over by over, do 5 over chunks. We can jump to the next wicket, or we can just finish the innings. Or if we click the autoplay button, it plays ball by itself, and you can kind of select the speed at how we go through. So I'm just going to start clicking through, and we'll just watch a few overs and see what transpires. So you can see the commentary kind of comes in here. Anyone who understands cricket will kind of know what this means, and even if you don't understand, you should have a vague idea of what's going on. So if I go through and over, and then I'll talk about the commentary a little bit. So the way the commentary works, I want players to be able to take something from the commentary. So usually with this, there's not a lot of different lines of commentary, so you tend to see a fair amount of repetition, but the commentary should indicate whether it's a good ball from the bowler. So there's different qualities of deliveries. So the commentary should indicate whether it's a good ball, whether it's a bad ball. It doesn't always say explicitly, but the idea is that you can get an idea of how well a bowler is bowling based on the number of good deliveries they're bowling, and if they're bowling just a load of dross and full tosses and stuff, you might want to take them off. Equally, you can see if your batters are batting well, or if they get out, like if they get out to a really excellent ball, or if they get out to, like a really crap, like full toss, and they just hit it straight to the fielder or whatever. So you kind of get a sense of who's batting well, who's bowling well, that kind of thing. But yeah, if I keep just going through, oh cool, that happened quickly, that's good. So that's a new thing I've added, the speech bubbles, to denote when a wicket's happened. Obviously it's a wicket, we've lost one of our batsmen, so that's not great, but you got to see the pop-up. So the idea of this is your character, who kind of is the manager of this cricket club, is sat on the boundary, with your scorebook in front of you. So the idea behind the speech bubbles is like that's a shout from the pitch that you're hearing, and then obviously the wicket's fallen. Eventually it's going to get a bit more sophisticated. I'm going to add a little bit of suspense in, if, for example, I'll just select the next batsman here, batter, so Hurst's coming in. So this one, like Webb, went for the pull, got a top edge, caught out in the deep. So eventually, the pop-ups for that will be like, oh, the ball's in the air and the fielder's under it, and then you kind of get that suspense, and then you find out if it's out or if it's not. But for right now, you just get the pop-up to say that it's out. So yeah, I'll just start to click through a bit more, so you can see, like, I'm not reading the commentary and stuff, but like you can get an idea of just how the match is progressing. And oh yeah, and we get these little pop-ups when it's a 4. So yeah, I want to work on those a little bit more, and just how they look visually and stuff. But really just try to make it feel like you're at the side of the pitch. So I'm going to do more stuff like that to make it feel like you're kind of at the side of the pitch while this action's taking place out on the field in front of you. So yeah, we're kind of trundling along. What is it? 40 for 1 from 10. So we're not losing wickets, but we're not scoring particularly quickly. Eventually, there's going to be an option to kind of tell your players to approach the game in a certain way, or another 4. So I could tell Green to start attacking or whatever. If you can see, if you're chasing a target and you can see you're behind the run rate, you can tell your batters to start attacking more. But there's going to be a risk with that. They're more likely to lose a wicket and things like Similarly, when you're bowling, you can tell your bowlers to play more attacking. You can set the field to a more attacking field um, to try and take wickets, but equally, you're going to risk losing more runs. Um, so like Hurst is scoring quite nicely here, so nearly a run a ball for Hurst. Green is a bit more defensive, so going a bit slower. Let's see if Hurst can get their 50. Hey, 50 up with a 4, so that's cool. Oh yeah, that comes up again because by mistake, whatever. So yeah, they're going along quite nicely. Nearly at the 20 over mark, 20 over stage now. Oh look, we got a 6. I wasn't expecting that, so that's good. So yeah, Hurst is like really pushing on now. Oh, and immediately gets out. Yeah. Driving hard, thick outside edge, caught at slip. But see where that says, what a delivery from Hartley. So I know, because I designed the game, I know that that's like an excellent delivery. Um, so Hurst just got out to a really good ball there. So you can kind of use that information for as you play the game. Like 63 off 62 balls and got out to a really excellent delivery. So you'd be pretty happy with that performance. Yeah. So there's going to be way more depth added into this as time goes on. Um, and like fatigue for bowlers and you know settled status for batsmen and things like that. So it really starts to feel a bit more. Oh, who else is? Oh, Green going on 49. Look at that. Still waiting for that 100 Green. Yeah. So look at this. So White, she's aggressive mentality. So she's come in and smacked 2 4s. I wouldn't be surprised if the next ball's a wicket. Okay, I didn't plan this. I promise. But there you go. Uh, that's what happens. She's here for a good time, not a long time. Good over from Hartley. Expensive, but 2 wickets. Um, yeah. So yeah, as development goes on, I'm gonna kind of make these like a bit more. Um, it's gonna become a bit more in depth and stuff. I'm gonna skip ahead to just go by every over now. To get to the end of this innings and just kind of run through the full match. So these two are plodding along quite nicely, but look, I mean, you can see from this they're not scoring quickly at all. So we're going to be a bit behind the curve, I think, in terms of scoring pace. Although that's 8 off that over, so that's good. Butler's obviously decided to wake up a bit. Um, let's just go ball by ball for the last over. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so 10 off the last over, not too bad. So yeah, 195 for 4, actually not bad. Um, shame for Green to be out before 50. Shame Butler didn't quite get to their 50. Good knock from Gibson, and we can see their bowling. So despite their quite scary numbers of wickets and average bowling averages and stuff, they didn't completely wipe the floor with us. So that's good. And we can see that Edlington need 196 to win. Um, this is just the sort of end of inning screen. It's a very early screen, so that will change. But yeah, basically just a brief overview um, of the innings. So now this is we're bowling now. So we've got Barker is our opening bowler. So start clicking through this, and then Marshall is our second bowler. So now their batsmen are quite handy from what I remember. Oh, there we go. So we'll see see how well they do against us. So the total shouldn't be too difficult for them to get. Oh, but look, got Parker already, 15 off 13, so they're scoring pretty quickly. But yeah, so yeah, what a bouncer from Barker. So that shows that it's an excellent delivery. Barker to Parker. Yeah, so Parker's got a good one there. So yeah, I'll kind of do ball by ball for maybe the first 10 overs, and then we'll start to hurry through this a little bit. Long bomb's getting settled. He's the one with the ridiculously high average, I think, like 50 for this season. Should probably change bowlers actually. So actually, I'll keep Marshall on. No, no, I'll change. So let's bring Sinner on. She's our third highest wicket taker. Oh, we're not bringing her on. So yeah, just going to jump to the end. We can see 196, the seventh from 36.2. So yeah, and then post-match screen. Um, yeah, there we are. So you might have realised that was quite a quick exit from the match there. That's because my wife walked in while I was in the middle of recording the video, so I had to finish it up pretty sharpish. So I've taken this screenshot of the post-match screen to just look over what happened in the match. So you can see that we ended up losing by 3 wickets. So it was potentially a bit close. They had 4 overs left, so fairly comfortable win for them. But without Hall's big 59 not out off 52, and without Thompson sticking around here a bit at the end and frustrating us, things could have gone differently. Bowling wise, Sinner was uh, the best bowler for us, but very expensive. Going at well over 6 and over there. Yeah, so Barker kept it nice and tight and took a couple of wickets. Marshall similarly, but just the 1 wicket, but only went for 35. So yeah, not too bad overall. Yeah, just slightly disappointing result in the end. So then when you come out of the match screen, you come back to the home screen, and you can see we're in it's week 12 of 18 now for this season. We can see our next result coming up here. In our fixture list, you can see our last game we lost by 3. So that's 3 losses in a row. So we're not doing too great there. League table, we've dropped to second bottom now. So currently there's no relegation out of tier 8. But if we were in a higher tier, we'd be in the relegation zone now. So that'd be a concern. Obviously, then I go back to the squad screen. The season stats will have updated to show. I don't think much changed in terms of that last match, high scores and stuff like that. But yeah, obviously all the averages have updated and everything. So yeah, so that's it really. Obviously a long way to go with development. A lot to tweak in terms of the UI. There's an awful lot of depth still to build into the match engine. There's a whole, player traits system that I want to build. There's a whole events system that I want to build. The only events that are in a game right now are, when you click to play the next match, you might get a notification that some of your team are unavailable at the last minute, which is, very will be very familiar to people who've played village cricket before. I mean, I'll click next match now, and we'll just see if that happens. Oh yeah, so Fraser Howarth is not able to play this week. So the idea is that this is a little bit of a, on the morning of the game kind of thing. You get a call to say that one of your players can't play, and some sort of excuse. Um, you know, Whether you believe the excuse is another matter. I think right now you can have up to 3 players call you up on the morning of a game and say that they can't play. Um, and as the game gets more complex, there'll be people on holiday, and things that you'll have known about in advance where someone can't play. So then someone not being able to turn up on the morning of a game might be a little bit more impactful if you're already 5 or 6 players down or something. But for right now, we can just click select replacement, and it brings us back um, to the squad screen. We can take Howarth out of there, and then you just make a decision on who you want to bring in. So like Dev's not been bowling very well, so he got dropped out of the team. But I think it'd be good to bring him back in. And then he's quite a good batsman, so we'll bump him up the order to 7. Um, yeah, and then when you confirm, then you go through to the pre-match screen. So I'm not going to play another match because this video is already extremely long. But yeah, hopefully that's a useful overview of where the game's at. And yeah, I'll try and do more updates as it progresses.